$68,303. 44,252. Medical industry, looking at about 36,371 annually.
And we all know why that is. You don't see the payoff until 10 years, 12 years afterwards.
At least you're guaranteed the...
Yeah.
And then finally, we have the entrepreneurs. Hello. Yeah, we're just taking a chance. That's what it is. Your annual is take a chance. You're listening to the Aftergrad podcast. My name is Victoria.
I'm Robert Kane, and we're your fellow Aftergrads trying to find clarity and security in the post-grad moment.
On this show, we discuss the societal pressures that stand to mold us into inauthentic versions of ourselves as we try to make our dreams a reality.
We welcome you on this journey as we try to navigate the pandemic, bills, careers, and who knows what else.
But today, we're talking about the rising prices and being able to afford them after graduating with these entry-level positions.
Right. I'm convinced the economy wants us to stay piss poor. And it's tough. It's really difficult because we just got out of undergrad and the prices, inflation is rising. You go to the store and your entire paycheck is missing.
No, really, let's talk about it.
These stores.
I'm actually pressed. Before, when I would go out shopping with mom and all that stuff,
Easy work.
Can I get this?
Light work.
Can I get that?
Light work. You come with your little list.
Right.
Like, can I add this in there?
Thank you.
And I don't know if you were like sneaky too. Your mom would be shopping.
I'd be like, she won't know. It's just like $5 extra, right? But now that I have, not that now that I have my own money, but just now that I'm out and about buying my own things, I'm paying very close attention to the prices.
Very watchful eye.
Literally,
nothing gets past me.
When we first got here, a bag of avocados from Costco was $6.
What I also find disrespectful is that how we purchased the Costco membership to save money, but now they're jacking up their prices.
No, they're jacking up. I'm still pretty appreciative of the bulk features.
You're right. Let me not disrespect entirely.
They do not disappoint because if I go anywhere else, it's a different story.
Gonna be a whole different situation.
I will say that I really saw it. Before, I was just taking note of little things increasing here and there, or it wouldn't even be like prices increasing. It would be the same price, but my proportions were smaller.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I just went to the Giants down the street the other day and I told you, are they just giving us air in these bags? I was in the store because I was...
Is it our imagination?
No, and it's dead ass not. It's simply not. No, because I'm going and I'm sifting through the bags of chips and I'm just like, this is just air. There's no chips. And then you open and it's crumbs. Yeah. It's literally crumbs in these bags. Yeah. And the prices are going up. The quantity is going lower.
Yep. And you keep telling yourself like, nah, it's just me. I'm tripping.
And your strawberries too. Yeah. What's with the strawberries, honey?
So I got my strawberries and the price went up. And they were $8 for a big bulk thing of strawberries or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's a little expensive, but it's whatever. Mm-hmm. I get home. Tell me why they're molding already. Not you skimping on me and increasing the price. If you do both, you're just wrong.
You're wrong.
But the biggest thing, I'm an avocados fan.
Same.
When we got here, I swear it was $6. Mm-hmm. No, I know it was $6.
Yes.
Now, $9.
I haven't even seen that for myself, too. I'm just taking your word for it. I haven't gone back.
For like 5 of them. Yeah. So something's happening, things are shifting, and we are seeing it. And for those of you who are listening, you're not delusional.
Right. At all.
At all. When
promise.
You're like, I swear this sandwich was bigger.
Right. They had more meat last time.
Right. No.
Where'd it go?
Right. And then also, we went to the movies about 2 months ago, and prices to get a ticket, it was like $20. Yeah. $20 per ticket. I think there's a lot of different things happening here, specifically with movie or luxury goods, things that are, that we can use in our disposable income. They're really increasing, like travel, transportation, and so forth.
Different industries,
one reason is because we're coming out of the pandemic, of course. And so now people are trying to come back. Right. They're trying to make a comeback.
It's that inflation
they lost a lot of money in the last 2.5 years.
Could you imagine not making money? Especially, I understand if you might be someone that was working at a secure job, right? But the people that didn't have any type of income, they had to just survive on their savings account, because I'm actually thinking of my mentor too, who's constantly sharing that information with me, how she's right now hustling to just get work because she wasn't able to have any income for these past 2 years. Right. That's so tough.
Right. So think about that in the business perspective. They're like, we're going to hustle these people. Yeah. We got to hustle these people who already went through a hustle themselves to get through the pandemic. Right. But it's really affecting those who are coming out of college, like, or just coming out of high school and living out on their own in general.
Just trying to get their foot in the door.
It's hitting us.
Just knocking. Just literally just like peeping and begging for a visual. Yeah. Like, but no. Left with crickets.
We're
silence.
Left with it, and then we're given the credit cards immediately. They're issued out without any real understanding of how you can utilize debt to your advantage.
Talk about it.
That's another day, another story.
Americans right now, we're using credit cards more than we ever have in the past, and that makes total sense because the income and the savings we had, it's been depleted.
I mean, it's just
from
adding.
The pandemic.
It's adding. And
but what's more disrespectful is how sometimes we're not even able to earn a credit card because you want to block us from entry into the credit card industry, so we can't even have the privilege of going into more debt to survive. Confused. Is
and then
at.
Let's not forget about the buckets of money that was dumped into the economy when the pandemic started, right? To, compensate for everyone who was struggling during the times. That really made our money inflate. And so we're here.
But I did appreciate the little steamy checks.
Of course! Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, it's about to affect us all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we were like, hold on. No, something's actually up. Something is actually up. These prices keep ticking.
Because the inflation rate, I was just reading an article about right now how it's at a 41-year high. It's the 8.5% right now, and it's the highest that it's been in such a long time.
So we searched the numbers.
And that's so tough for these aftergrads trying to get into the industry just to pay rent. Housing market's crumbling, grocery market prices are just skyrocketing. You can't get a break.
No. So we want to let you know what's happening.
So what we get into, you're the economics major, you got us the review of how the economics and the economy is
because it wasn't adding up. Like, it just seemed, at first I thought it was just me. I was like, no, maybe I'm not keeping track of the numbers right in my head as I'm going out and grocery shopping or as I'm going out to eat and so forth or going to the movies, right?
Right.
But then I was like, no, these numbers, they look quite different.
They look very different. Yeah,
We looked them up. I looked at the CPI, which stands for Customer Product Index. And I looked at the CPI of percent of change over time from September 2021 to March currently 2022. And there's a huge increase. And it does not even involve the COVID pandemic, right? So for those of you who are about to graduate and you're like, oh, I'm not really graduating into anything because COVID is starting to die down a bit.
You're graduating into something.
You're graduating into something.
Right,
it's something. We need to put a title on this.
Yes, whatever this is. I don't know what it is.
This is
recession.
Records.
This is what's going on? Inflation, hyperinflation. It is hyperinflation, but what's the period? Like whatever they're gonna title this for the economics.
But
economic breakdown. Because everything's crumbling, honey. Trust.
Right. So, for instance, let's start off with food. I saw avocados skyrocket when we first got here. Literally November, September. $6 for a bag of avocados from Costco, and they do bulk. They do bulk. Right. So
they're
it's only
big
more
avocados
expensive.
too.
Yeah, they're big and
quality.
We love that. But now, I saw $9. $9.
That's absolutely unacceptable.
That's huge.
$3?
Right.
5 avocados, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're increasing the price, but you don't want to increase the quantity? Disrespectful.
Food in general has gone up by 8.5%. But to get more specific than that, groceries have gone up by 8.8% in CPI. Okay? Now, I have some really bad news for those of you who love to eat out. It has gone up by 10%.
I believe it.
10%.
Yeah. So, I felt it in the service fee, in the delivery fee, in the tip that they try to covertly insert. Yeah, I felt it. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, it just kept going up. It was like the service fee is like $5 now minimum. And then they put the 18% tip. And I spent
you can try to get
$35 to order food. One meal.
Yeah.
One meal.
$35.
Jeez. And I was like, I'm treating myself. But just to think about that for one person.
Right.
$35 is not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Now, you told me that there's now a subscription for DoorDash where you can go half in with a friend or something.
Well, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about trying to save money. Get in any way you can. They have the DoorDash pass, and I'm sure Uber Eats and all the other food delivery services have something similar. But yeah, if you want to go in with your friends, similar to how you might do with Netflix or Hulu, whatever, get one person pays, then just send them a Venmo, and you've got the DoorDash pass, so you don't have to pay for the delivery fee. Because it's the delivery fee. But then
it's the service fee you still got to pay for.
It's the service fee.
Honestly, can I be honest? In this post-grad moment, right now, just try to cut down on your eating
Honestly.
out. Like, that's me. I love cooking anyway, so it's a great thing to
I'm becoming a lover of cooking, honestly.
He's like, I gotta make it work.
It's growing on me a little bit, quite honestly. No, I'm kind of becoming more particular about my food. I'm not getting into baking or anything like that, but baking to the degree of I'll purchase from the frozen section, like some cookies, and I'll just put them in the little toaster oven, and then they're ready. That's the extent. But, you know, I'm not eating out as much, so I consider anything in the kitchen where I'm working cooking.
Exactly. So, either turn it to Kane, like, make that transition. Come on, baby steps.
HelloFresh.
HelloFresh.
Not sponsored, by the way, but HelloFresh.
Soon to be.
Hopefully.
Right.
HelloFresh, if you're trying to, you know, get a dabble into cooking a little bit and you don't know how to incorporate ingredients into a final meal, HelloFresh really saved my life. Honestly, they did. Yeah. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the man sitting before you if not for HelloFresh.
Right. So and me, I'm just very impatient when it comes to, like, watching things and reading off stuff. So I like the little quick videos on TikTok and Pinterest. Pinterest is where it's at if you're trying to look for good, quick meals to make. Anyway, moving forward, we're also not delusional in terms of oil. I mean, I think we all knew this.
Yeah.
Gas prices are going up.
They're going up.
They're going up.
Very much so.
Yeah.
They want us to stay poor is the conclusion. That's very fair.
Essentially.
Yeah, I feel it. I mean, well, I actually don't feel it because I don't have a car. So that I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for that. We were talking about that earlier, and that's honestly one of the reasons that I left Los Angeles. And thank goodness, because I would be trapped.
$7 right now. Right?
$7 in certain locations. $6 is probably the average. I know it's definitely above $5 in the majority of LA County. That's
hefty.
That's a lot.
That's hefty work.
That's a lot.
But
I'm seeing people on my IG story too. They're posting their stories when they're in the middle of getting their car pumped with the gas, and it's going up to $110 to fill up their tank. And I'm sure you're filling up that tank every 2 weeks, maybe.
If you have a
maybe even more
car. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot to come up with.
That's a lot.
And the prices are only, unfortunately, they're still going up. Yikes. They're still going up because we're suffering right now with the whole Ukraine situation.
Yeah.
A lot of our supply of oil, wheat, and energy, or energy is underneath oil, or oil is underneath energy, is from Ukraine. And so that's why we're seeing an extreme spike right now, not only during the pandemic, but another hit right now because of that. And energy has raised 32%. Now, when we get specific and we look at all oils, it has raised 48% in CPI.
Yeah.
Here's the new number, though. For specifically transportation oil, 70%.
Yeah.
70%.
And when we say transportation, I'm assuming we're meaning the planes, meaning the cars. All of that.
So if you're trying to be outside this summer, good luck.
Yeah.
I guess I don't even know if I would I don't even know if I would tell you to get the tickets now because they're so high right now. I'm trying to go to Cali during the summer.
Yeah.
And $500 average across board. I have an app that really helps. It notifies me when prices are dropping. But overall, prices have increased. Last year, before September, prices were really, really low coming out of the pandemic. Now they're skyrocketing because gas prices are so high. So high.
Shout out to my university for actually purchasing my round trip flight from Little Rock, Arkansas to Los Angeles, California, up and coming to go back to 2020, 2021 commencement. Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because that would have been coming out of your pocket. It would have been coming out of my pocket. It would have been steep.
Any chance I can get to take my university's money, I do it. I think that it would be very off-brand for me not to.
Period. Yeah. Period. So take advantage or figure out, split a car with somebody. I don't know, but I'm using Metro right now. That's my current solution.
And not paying for it either.
Right. And I'm
not paying for it either.
And then, I mean, coming out of college, a lot of people are wanting to get their own cars. My sister's currently in the process of purchasing a car right now. So I looked at the CPIs of that, and she was telling me, I was, super happy for her. I was like, so you're looking at used cars, right? Yeah. She said, actually, no. I'm getting a brand new car. I said, girl, brand new car? What? Why?
Oh, okay, interesting.
She said they are about the exact same price right now because there's a huge spike or lack of supply of parts for cars. So the used cars are increasing in demand, right? Because there's not a lot of new cars on the market. Yeah. And with that increase in demand, increase in price. So used cars are about relatively close to a new car price. Used cars have gone up by 35.5% in CPI, whereas new cars have only gone up by 12%.
Hello.
Now, you still might find a used car that's maybe $5,000 less than a new car. That's still not great enough. I would still consider buying a new car. She was explaining, and it makes complete sense. I was so proud of my sister. She is not an economics major, but I was like,
either.
You are speaking like an economist,
You're tossing these numbers
I love
out,
this for you. You
and I'm
know
just
your
like,
stuff.
Woo.
She knows her stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, she said, listen,
but I'm listening.
I'm not keeping this car for the long run because I deserve foreign.
Okay.
Ford rides in the near future.
And
so eventually I'm going to want to trade this car in, right? And the value of it in the long haul will be way more than having a used car and selling it off in the long run. So she just wants that turnover to be greater for her.
Yeah.
So therefore she's finding it a smarter move to buy the new car. So yeah, take that in consideration. That huge gap, 35% increase versus a 12% increase, of course the used car cost is going to catch up to that new car cost. Period. Wow. So, with that being said, those were just main sectors that we should know about and we should be aware about because this time and this moment right now is demanding so much money from us, and it's only right that the source of our income increases as well, the J-O-B.
Go up.
Everything's shooting up. Things are going to come down eventually, but how can we afford this?
How can we afford this? Right. As people that are trying to enter these industries, right? We're aftergrads. Well, in light of the economy being inflated, hyper inflated again. Inflation is at an all-time high within the past 41 years, right? For us, the way that we see it, it's an opportunity when you're in the negotiating seat or when you're entering a new position or you're already in a position, honey,
it comes
to ask for more money. The J-O-B, right? Because that's how you pay your bills. Yes. So this means that because prices are going up,
I need to demand more.
I need to demand more. My standard of living is rising. All right? And if you're not paying me more money, my standard of living is decreasing. As we've said before, we are the product. We are the service. So my value is declining if my employer isn't making me more money, isn't offering me a raise of any sorts. And that's super important for us because when we get into these moments where we're trying to get into these industries that we don't have any which way of getting into, we have to know our worth. We have to know our value. And there's an intrinsic way to think about that, but then there's also a financial and economic way to think about that too, because there's numbers, literal averages that we can reference in relationship to our demographics, to our identities, that we can list when we go into these meetings and say, well, you know what, the average on this is this, therefore you need to at least minimum pay me this.
Exactly. Yeah, before on previous episodes we mentioned knowing your worth, knowing your value, and you might have thought of it in like the mental sense, like I'm worth a lot because I work hard, because I do this. No, you literally have a lot of value in numbers as well, like you were saying. So getting familiar with the inflation rates, getting to know your economics, understanding on what area you're in, it can have a lot of effect of your negotiating rights or your negotiating knowledge when you're in that interview demanding what you deserve or when you're in that room asking for a raise, because what's happening is real and a lot of businesses will kind of try to screw you over. I believe it. If you aren't aware of what's happening, they'll just tell you numbers that are based off of, you know, predictions or inflation rates that were last year or the year before that.
That time has passed. Exactly. We're in a new moment.
Exactly. There's a reason why they ask you the question. They ask you, what do you see yourself making? Right? They ask you that to know if you actually know what the heck is going on. And if they, that's them trying to see, oh, if she ignorant or he or they are if they're ignorant about what's actually happening around us right now, they're going to say a low number because first of all, they just want to they need the job. They need
the job. They're fresh.
Exactly.
Big wings, ready to spread out and meet new people in the industry. Super excited. Yay. No, that's not always the way, especially if you're confident about those numbers.
Exactly. And if you're planning on, you know, eventually getting that job of your dreams, right? Well, beforehand, you're probably in the midst of getting your education, or, you know, you got your education, you good. We dabbled up a couple of average numbers so you know what your bare minimum should be if you're in the industry or close to the industry. And if your numbers don't match or at least not at that point, you need to talk to your boss.
Please.
You probably need to talk to your boss.
Immediately. Have a conversation. Email, phone call, Zoom meeting. We all on Zoom right now.
Be like, hello. Yeah, this is not adding up.
It's simply not. Have you ever been in a situation where you have had to negotiate or you received an offer, right, and you were thinking about the number, you maybe have done the reading, maybe you didn't do the reading, or you just had questions. Have you ever been in an offer situation where you needed to then negotiate for more money or more anything in relationship to that job?
I will be so honest with you. I'm happy to be here type. So never thought about the money part. I was so prepared for the interview itself that I never came around to thinking about, well, how much do I think I should be making? Mm-hmm. I also thought it was a form of respect. In my mind, when I was younger, I thought asking for too high of a number would be considered rude, or it would seem very, is the word vulgar? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Inappropriate, vulgar?
Yeah. I thought if I'm asking too much, they might decline me as well. Mm-hmm. They might not want to, hire me. Mm-hmm. So I need to do a number that they're okay with. Now that I'm getting older, I'm realizing, no, if you shoot for the stars and you say a higher number, they're just going to ask you to come down. Right. It's quite simple. It has nothing to do with whether or not
they'll meet you where you're at.
Or they meet you where you're at.
Possibly.
Exactly. It's kind of, this is a point where you can just throw a number out that's higher than your, what you probably think for yourself. And then see. So, no, I have not gotten there. I haven't had that moment. But now that I do know the numbers, I come in saying this is the bare minimum I'm willing to make annually. And know your annual numbers, not your hour rate numbers. Yeah. Boo-boo, if you're still thinking an hour rate, you are still young.
There's much more to consider.
You gotta, look at it annually, how much you need to be making for the year, trickle down to the month, then lastly, the hour, if they so ask you in that regards.
Yeah. I think that sentiment is totally valid. I think we might have a lot of aftergrads who have those emotions. They might feel uncomfortable trying to ask for more money, or uncomfortable sharing a higher number than what they might actually think they're valued at. But on this episode, I think I just want aftergrads to leave having the confidence to either know what they're worth and share that number confidently in the interview scenario or in the negotiating situation, right? But then I also want to reflect on a previous episode that we did where I was talking about me in the middle of an interview situation where I was given an offer, right? And I totally understand if you might feel as though you don't want to have to advocate for yourself, or if you're like me, I shut down when I feel disrespected by an evaluation that is lower than what I know I'm worth. And
so you won't even ask.
I sometimes won't even ask. I'll be so discombobulated, I won't even be able to come forward. Yeah, it'll literally be a next for me. Yeah. But that's just something that I have to know for myself, right? That's what I know to be true for me. I think at the end of the day, there are moments where you should advocate, but it's important to know that sometimes companies, they're going to hit you with a low ball, and they're going to do that intentionally.
But that's why they ask you first. They tend to ask you first.
They tend to ask you first.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To see how low.
Right. To see how low they can go on you.
Right.
And I think as employers, they should do a better job of trying to match the value of the person they're speaking to, because if you have someone like me, I just won't even entertain, because if that evaluation is much lower than what I know I'm worth, I'm not even going to entertain you, because what's the point in my mind? Because in my head, that's close to what you're willing to pay me.
Right.
And me asking for, in this specific example, it would have been about $12,000 more to match my minimum. That didn't make sense to me. But nonetheless, if you really needed that job, I want aftergrads to be encouraged to say, you know what, no, let me fight for this. Yeah. Let me put on my best suit. No, let me stand up tall, and let me give it to them good. Right?
Like this is what we're facing right now. Yeah. I think you need to come back. You do the math.
Yeah. No, that part. You do the math.
Can you run the numbers? No. Yeah. You can be polite with it. You can just be like, okay. So this is happening currently, and this is happening. I'm seeing prices rise and this. So do you mind recalibrating those numbers? Because I don't think it's correct. In order for me to be able to afford a bare minimum of living. Yeah. Of welfare.
Hi.
Yeah.
And that's when you hit them with the facts. Yeah. That's when you hit them with the facts that we are sharing in this episode, the inflation rate.
Yeah, and if they don't know the numbers, you can be like, you know what? Don't even do the numbers.
Research.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Here you go.
No problem. They're right here. And that also leads into the numbers that you're about to share with us in terms of the averages across these various industries.
Right. So we got to know our minimum, guys. We got to know our minimum.
Yeah.
Important. And stick with it. Meditate on that minimum, and it will come through for you.
Have that number. Have that number, because I've reached my number. I've shared it publicly. I don't mind sharing it again. If I'm going into any full-time position, as of right now, my minimum is $60K. Period.
Your minimum is 60.
60K. Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm making that right now. And I was making 60K as a freelancer. I was making that rate on my own already. So what do I look? I would have been going into a full-time position making less than what I'm making, offering my services on my own. Right. I'm sorry, what value are you bringing to me? That's where I was thinking. Yeah. It just wasn't adding up in the slightest. Oh, I love working for myself.
I love that for you. No, I really love that for you.
And to just put out a scenario right here. So you have two black people sitting in front of you, right?
Hi.
As a fun fact, the average starting salary of a black person who has just earned a college degree is approximately $54K. $54K. So, again, there's all these ways that you can create these data points that you can then present to your potential employer. For me, I actually didn't know that fact prior to doing some research and prior to receiving that evaluation in the offer letter. So that's just an average, that's spanning the industries, that's a racial statistic, right?
Wow.
And for me, that was just something that I said to myself, oh, okay. Personally, I definitely think I'm above average. Right?
Hello.
I believe I'm above
we're
average.
Aftergrads.
We're hardworking aftergrads.
Yeah.
I have 2 majors, almost earned a minor. I have lots of experience in my industry thus far. I have multiple certificates. By that alone, I think I'm above average.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to go to a name brand school. Claremont McKenna has a strong network, strong alumni connections. I'm above average. 54K, my minimum is 60. That's that on that.
Boom.
That's that on that.
That's that. I respect that.
Period. Thank
it didn't
you.
come off as rude.
Yeah.
It didn't come off as arrogant.
It
just came off as this man knows his stuff.
Yeah. That's it. I have nothing more. So let's get into these stats.
Higher.
More, please.
Okay. Some people are scared to ask, like, how much are you making? Because now we're getting into, like, gender, race, all that stuff. And you just don't know. Like, it's not something that's typically talked about or encouraged to talk about. Everyone says, you know, be very private with how much you make. And I agree with that to an extent. However, if we don't know how much everyone is getting paid, we could be getting screwed over, quite literally. So
I've heard story after story. I mean, I'll go on LinkedIn. I even saw a post. I don't remember who posted it. But again, you see this quite often. They'll be referencing a story that they heard about how someone who was an entry level or someone who was coming in as a new hire, they gave an offer as to how much they evaluated themselves being worth and making on an hourly rate or a salary, right? And then they'll be hired sometimes at that rate, or there'll be someone else who was associated with that manager or something that'll come forward and say, oh, you really lowballed yourself and you definitely should have asked for more. A lot of times it'll come over after the fact, which is speaking to your point about how if we don't talk about how much we're making, or as a community too, you know, I can understand people wanting to be secretive about it, but as a community we can uplift each other if we're being forthcoming with that information so that you don't have to learn that you could have been making a lot more than you actually are making after the fact. Because after you say, yes, I will be here for 40 hours a week, I will be making this amount, these are my perks, these are my benefits, it's a little late, it is late, entirely too late, to then come back and say, oh, can I have more money? At least at that point in the game, you need to work with them a little bit longer before you come back. Be very clear up front.
And there's a little bit of attitude as well kind of surfacing from the older generation that we were reading up about, how they feel like we're getting paid too much money coming into entry-level jobs. They need to just quite simply understand that we are in a different time frame. First of all, I don't even want to compare to the skill set that a person back then had to have compared to a person now has to have coming out of college. I don't want to do that. I don't want to throw a low ball. I'm just going to throw the economic ball.
Yeah, please. I was about to say the economics.
Yeah, and it's simply that, like, everything is super expensive. And so we can't, of course, with the cost of living rising, we can't, they have to bring it up. They have to bring that minimum wage up.
More people are going to be in poverty, if not.
Exactly. Didn't you read something up on it about that? Like, there was someone in particular that was like, that felt...
So basically the statistic is right now in the tech, banking, finance, and consulting industry, right now we're having people that are making about 100K entry level, right? So there are people from older generations who have certain thoughts and emotions about that, which, you know, tough is the response that I give to that. It's, if that's what they're worth, and that's what they're worth, if the companies and the banks are willing to pay that money, who are you to sit here and say, oh my god, no, like, don't pay them that much money. I didn't make that much when I was an entry level.
I don't know. I feel like older generations, if their issue is with themselves, that they want more money and they want to call for more money as well. If I was in their position, tell me if I'm out of pocket for this and I'm not thinking, you know, about the whole situation. But the newcomers, they're relevant. they're with the time.
We're trending.
We're literally, we are with the time. We know what's going on. We know how it affects our personal life because it is our current life that we're living, and it's the life that the bankers and consumer, or like the stores and so forth, they have to cater to.
Yeah.
So knowing that my value is how long I've been with the company and, you know, working with the company and how to, you know, navigate all like the little logistics stuff, that would be my strength, right? I think in order to ask for a raise, I would also kind of invest myself in like conferences or stuff to figure out how to be relevant as well in the present moment and learn from the younger generation. Yeah. Am I wrong to say that?
I don't think you're wrong at all. My stance on the matter, and it kind of goes to an interview that you put me on to with Coi Leray. She was on Breakfast Club, talking about how there's this disparity, right, or difference in thought between an older generation, specifically in the music industry, but it applies to all industries. Older generations and younger generations being at odds over how the ways in which industries should operate, right? And that's totally fair. We're coming up in different times. I think I just want mutual respect. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I hear your point.
Down upon.
I don't want to be looked down upon, and I don't think I should be looked down upon. And I'm not looking down upon you. I'm just advocating for myself. But there are older people who are looking down upon us because we are coming out with shameless attitudes, and I refuse to apologize for it.
I'm just at this point when I see this, when I come across those people, I'm just gonna pray for you because you're obviously carrying baggage that doesn't even pertain to me. Yeah. And by me being me and being, you know, you can see my light and you see me like I'm here and I'm demanding this. It probably brings forth a little envy. Yeah. And so forth. It brings out bad character from your end.
I want to be surrounded by people, especially older people, who want that type of young person and older person synergy. Yeah. I want those people because there's so much to learn from them. Exactly. If you're encountering a young person who doesn't see the wisdom and value that older people and generations bring to the table, well, that's very unfortunate because that's very false, and we can't disrespect the ancestors like that. We would never. But what?
We can't disrespect the ancestors.
Simply not. You understand.
Yeah, you I understand.
So I wanna be around people who know their value, know their worth, and know what they bring and contribute, and don't feel insecure about other people's shamelessness, confidence, and it
has to be mutual.
Really, advocate for your worth at the end of it, right?
And it's
in
only
whatever
respect.
Situation.
Yeah, it's only good respect and good vibes.
Right. Do you think this discussion that we're having now about wages and the industries, do you think that this should influence how aftergrads determine their majors? You know, when we're thinking back, there's always this discussion, oh my god, you're doing a humanities major, right? Like, you're not going to make so much money. You're just doing literature.
Let me take the mic.
Psychology. Yeah. That you're not going to make any money. What are you going to do with that? I would get that question all the time. What are you going to do with that? Do you think that we should be making decisions about our majors based on the numbers that we are well aware of that we'll be making after we graduate?
I want to start off with saying I am very grateful and fortunate to have a natural liking for an industry that pays a lot of money. I like numbers. I like finance. Period.
I love that. Okay.
So
that's important.
Because I naturally loved it, it just so happened to be the cherry on top that it also pays a lot and is very transferable in a lot of different industries.
Because I feel like a lot of people in your industry, I can't speak from my experience, but I feel like a lot of people aren't serious about it. They don't really love it.
That's true. I really see it as art, actually, like how people play with money and how they move it here, move it there. Internationally, and I'm very specific on what sector of finance I love. And with that being said, that's why it's kind of hard as well to find an entry-level position that I'm in love with, because my niche, my specific thing that I love so much it's very niche. Right. So I'm working through that, and I'll keep y'all updated. But in that regards, I'm grateful. But I know there's some people who they gravitate towards other industries that obviously, as we spoke today, they don't really pay that much. Right. This is what I have to say. I'm all for. That's what we preach. You have to follow what you love. Right. It's always passion first. It's always passion first, because we are sitting here today as entrepreneurs. And you know, pay grade is not guaranteed or completely stable. But it's so much fun. Yeah, and it's so much fun, and it's so fulfilling. And for me, that's very essential in living. So I have to say, don't follow the numbers too much.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't follow the numbers. If anything, maybe know what you love, follow that.
And figure that out too, because not everyone knows it immediately.
And try to figure out, like, in that market, is there something that's missing? Is there something that you can create to get you that extra moolah? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there something you can attack? Because you can find, again, a niche in that area that's overlooked.
Yeah.
Find the unconventional routes. Find the very nuanced conversations in that sector. Like, I would watch TED Talks in that sector, so forth, because that's where things are happening or things are being talked about in preparation for the future. I would stay. That's what I did a lot when I was younger. I would just try to stay in the future in terms of thought and thinking where things are going. And I think that had a lot to do with, like, how my brain works now. But then I was able to think of creative ways on, like, how I should get my degree doing what I love.
Yeah.
I hope that answers.
I think that's it.
I hope that speaks to someone. Don't go somewhere else because of the money, because it's not going to be worth it.
Right.
You're not going to love yourself at the end. You're going to be 25, 28, and you're going to, like, hate it.
Right.
In a contract too.
And you'll be finding yourself trying to transition industries when you're 28.
And that looks
nothing wrong with that, but that's tough too.
Tough.
If you can figure out how to learn what those passions are ahead of time, so you don't have to be one of those unfortunate few that are transitioning, trying to do a career adjustment. That's the way.
Yeah.
I think I like what you said. Definitely don't follow the numbers in the sense of an income, right? I understand you have pressures potentially from parents or people in your close circle that are saying you need to do this because this is going to yield this much impact and outcome. I get it. That's tough, and ultimately you'll have to make a decision that's right for you.
Right.
But knowing the numbers in the sense of which majors and industries can help you, right, in a particular scenario, or also understanding which programs, not even which programs, not all programs are created equal, right? And that goes for majors, that goes for universities, that goes for certificates, right? And we've talked a lot about degrees, but specifically in relationship to certificates, right, which aren't full degree programs. They're very niche programs of study that a lot of times people are going into because they think that they're going to yield a similar or an adjacent outcome to a degree program because it's very specialized. And that's just not the case. There's actually an article on this platform called WorkShift that basically does a lot of research on the way that the workplace is changing, the ways in which the economy is impacted by the pandemic and the higher education market. But the fact of the matter is, based on this survey, only 48% of certificate programs yield a turnover in terms of their investment.
Wow.
That means more than half do not.
Right.
And what's more is disproportionately students are gravitating towards these programs that don't yield a payoff, meaning that that investment that they made on that certificate, thinking that it was going to provide them with learnings, with experience, with an end to the industry, it doesn't. It doesn't pay for itself, which is so unfortunate, because that's when I was like, oh, okay, this business scheme that we're living in is really only based on the numbers, concerned about its bottom line. Because if it weren't, then that wouldn't be the statistic that I'm sharing today.
Yeah, with the certificates, I will say, I was following my passion, but in the midst of following my passion, right, I did see that there was a rise in tech. There was a huge rise in tech. So I attempted to get a double minor. You see me trying to collect. I said, I'm trying to collect.
As you should. Me and you both was trying to get this.
It stopped real quick. Let me tell you, I tried comp-sci because I wanted to know at least basic. I wanted to know basic my freshman year. I think I told you this.
Yeah.
I tried comp-sci for one semester. Immediately, I knew it just wasn't for me. But I knew the money was there.
I knew the money was there.
But the way I looked up on Google what jobs are what jobs will bring, 6-figure salaries, and it said tech. I went in that class, tried it. I said no.
Not me. That was me and my best friend. Actually, we were in a comp sci class for one day. When I tell you, we sat there, and when the professor, our code wasn't running, and we were trying to log in, and we were trying to get the programs downloaded correctly, and when it wasn't, we raised our hand, and the professor came over, looked real good at the screen. We're trying to figure it out, and she was like, I don't know. And she left. When my friend and I, when we heard that, we literally pulled out our laptops. We said, drop. Absolutely not. Yeah. But for my major, for my math major, I did have to take a computer science class, so I knew that I would be back. Right. Just after that professor. I said, you won't have me looking real crazy.
Exactly. No, it was one class for me. I said, oh no. No.
Absolutely not.
So then I started to feel bad about that too, because I was like, but I know this is where the money's at. This is where the money's at. And then I heard about certificates.
Yeah.
And you can use them as supplements.
Right. If
you genuinely want to know about an area that's booming. And I still do. So I've been keeping my eye out for certificates, specifically with tech and coding. But now I'm not even going, I know I'm not going to pay for them. I told y'all, I'm not paying for education anymore. Exactly. Like, I'm really done. I didn't barely pay any of you alone. But I'm not paying, I don't believe in that. So with this era, we have the privilege of YouTube and so many different platforms to teach us. So I know for sure, it's not today, it's not tomorrow, and I don't think it's going to be this year, but I'm going to start self-teaching myself coding. And there's a lot of free programs out there. Khan Academy, so many things. I'm just saying, this, like you said, with those facts, the turnover in paying for those certificates aren't really showing great, like, good results. Good enough results for me. So therefore, I just rather get that education. If it's just to say in an interview that I also have a background in this area, then I will just learn it myself.
Of course.
There's too many free platforms for that stuff. We've been learning cryptocurrency and kind of have this stuff.
Yeah, I have a good understanding of it now.
All free programs, right? So yeah, that's just one example. We don't need those certificates.
Right.
We don't need those certificates.
Not in the slightest.
And then we also don't need little payment. We don't need little payment. No, we don't need experience or a brand name. Right. We aren't happy to be here.
Yeah. Never.
Yeah.
I remove that mindset immediately. Well, not happy to be here. Not grateful to be here. I deserve to be here based on the work that I've done. I've earned my spot here. Right. That's another point. And that's
no pause.
Okay.
I want to sit with that.
Sit with it.
I deserve to be here. I'm just gonna re-say it. I deserve to be here. I earned my spot here. Yeah. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah.
You know, I think that goes into this discussion around imposter syndrome. And
I have that.
You have that, and I know a lot of aftergrads, I'm sure, do people that are in undergrad.
A lot of black women have
that. A lot of black women, and I totally understand the societal systems that create this.
On imposter syndrome, though. For
you know, imposter syndrome in a nutshell is this notion, emotion, condition where people feel as though they don't belong in a certain space at a given moment. The show, the performance that you are putting on is going to be unveiled to the public, and it's going to be widely known that you're a fraud, that you're not worthy, that you don't deserve all the accolades, the attention that you're garnering. That's really what imposter syndrome is, and a lot of people from marginalized communities, people of color, face this reality, and that's why we're on this channel harping on the fact that you have to know your worth, you have to know your value intrinsically, economically speaking, because we all bring certain things to the table.
Right.
Me personally, though, quite honestly, I've never felt imposter syndrome.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and I'm very grateful, but in saying that, I always observe people who did in my circle, and I understand why you have these emotions, because we live in a particular society that promotes that type of ideology, and it only makes sense that people would feel that way. But to speak personally, I just know how hard certain people worked to position me in a place where it was my time to take advantage of these resources so that I could pay it forward to my community. That's the reason that I never felt it, because intrinsically I always knew that I was worthy.
Yes.
Even when I didn't feel that way, I knew that I could just dedicate myself to the work, and that made me feel worthy. Because I knew that I would push forward, and I knew when I saw the results, and I knew that I was competent and capable.
Yeah, I can relate on that. For me, on the tugging effect, when you say the moments that you didn't feel worthy, I don't know if it's the signs on my chart or what, but I felt this pull. I had this one side of me that was very knowing of who I'm going to be, and I think that's my spiritual side, you know, with God on my side and all that stuff. Like, I know
covered.
Right, I'm ordained. I'm ordained, okay, period. So I always knew, like, even when people did me dirty or did me wrong, in my mind I had that mentality. I was like, oh, you gonna see, just wait, just wait. And so that part of me was always strong. But then all of a sudden I started to get a little older, and I think I started to feel it in high school, that imposter syndrome. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I would be in these spaces and I felt like I'm not supposed to be here, or I'm not in the right place. Though I had the other side of me that's like, oh, we're gonna be somewhere in the next 10 years. Yeah. There was another part of me presently that was like, I'm not feeling it. So then I read Becoming by Michelle Obama. That if you suffer with imposter syndrome, you do not have to be a Black woman to suffer from it. But read her book. She talks about it and how it followed her and haunted her on a daily basis as she was going through Princeton. Was it Princeton? Yeah, Princeton, then Harvard for law school. She constantly felt like she wasn't supposed to be where she was. And hearing her story really spoke to me and really helped guide my thoughts. Yeah. So when I do have those moments in the workspaces specifically, that's where I mainly felt them. There's ways to talk to yourself in the present moment to get over that, because we all know that we're gonna be successful, period. But in that present moment, sometimes you have those thoughts.
Sometimes you feel like crap. Sometimes you don't feel like getting out of bed. Sometimes you really don't feel like doing your work. But we're here to tell you, as fellow Aftergrads, that do it anyway.
And you deserve to be where you are. It's not, I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. You have no idea, because I don't actually deserve to be here. I feel like people can see through me and that I don't have everything that it takes. Wash that away. We are not happy to be here.
Not happy to be here.
I deserve to be here.
I earned my spot here. And again, just going back to all the stats that we listed, those are the reasons that we as Aftergrads have earned our spot and have worked for it. It's not us being ungrateful. No. It's not us being disrespectful or inconsiderate. It's just stating the obvious in a very polite way, respectfully.
The facts. It's facts now. Yeah. You're not just believing in yourself. It's beyond an idea or a notion. Yeah.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. So when you're negotiating, or when you're in the room and you're already there and you have your paycheck and something needs to be changed with everything that's happening, we need you to demand the solution to the problems that we are facing currently today. Okay? No longer avoiding them, thinking that, oh no, it's just rising, but it'll come back down tomorrow. No. Because we are not going to be the type that are sifting around for some coupons.
No. Although I do need a coupon book, though.
I do need
one. Really should be using one. Yeah. Because I'm counting pennies. We're renting. Yeah.
So we don't get the everyday. They normally mail some to you. Yes, don't get us twisted. Yeah. We're actually still gonna find those coupons.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You don't need to know
but
that.
We don't want to be.
You don't need to know that.
You don't need to know that. We don't always want to be in a position where we're counting coupons, but I do need some coupons. I would love some coupons, because basic trips to the grocery stores are taking far too much money. Yeah. You'll just go there to collect a gallon of milk, and it's just $5.
No, really. Yeah. But aside from the income, right? I need us to start manifesting that we are wealthy in time. We're
so young.
Yeah. Our Aftergrads, this is the time moment. I think the biggest advantage we have, that people literally can't make a transaction out of it. There's no trading time.
Right.
That's why for me, time is way more it's worth way more than money, because it's so scarce.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we are millionaires. I'm putting myself in the mindset right now. We are millionaires in time.
Right.
So if you're having still that imposter syndrome of they know more, they have more, yada yada, boo.
Scrap it.
Scrap it. I literally have more time than you on this earth.
Absolutely, I do.
So therefore, I'm worth more.
I'm ahead. I'm ahead because I have more time. And knowing how valuable time is, that just goes back to the initial point of this whole episode, is demand the solution that you want to see.
Hello. And also, while you're in the office as well, if you feel like your time is starting to get wasted with stress in the office and it's not going towards your purpose, it's wasting your time, then you need to go. That's what I'm such a huge advocate for those who need to get out, because it's time. It's expensive.
Time is money, quite literally.
Go. The sooner the better. So if you are listening in and you're getting or garnering up the courage to leave that job,
send it
immediately.
Yeah, go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Aftergrad Podcast. Definitely follow us on Instagram at the Aftergrad Podcast.
If you enjoyed our visual version, make sure to subscribe so you can be notified of our latest releases.
Also, Aftergrads, we mean this very literally. Please, if you have a question, comment, concern, or life situation that pertains to being an Aftergrad, please send those over to us at our email address, which again is theaftergradpodcast@gmail.com, or DM us on Instagram, which again is at the Aftergrad Podcast.
And last thing, one more thing. We would really appreciate a 5-star review. Not only does this make us happy, but this helps grow our Aftergrad family.
Period. Thank you again for tuning in or listening to this particular episode of the Aftergrad Podcast. And with that, this is the Aftergrad Podcast. Peace.
Ciao.
Know your worth. We're not happy to be here.
We deserve to be here.
We deserve to be here. We do. All right.
Period.